RuneScape is looking to expand all skills by bringing them up in smaller segments. In this video, we're going to talk about Jagex's plans for skilling content in the long term, so whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, we have a new form of communication coming from Jagex, and I have to say the new communication method or strategy is really nice. We're being taken into that development process early, much earlier than before. This is a new type of developer blog called a right-click examine, and this one's about future skilling content. And let me tell you, it's packed, and a very important one, because Mod Jack and Mod Breezy, which are also in the live stream with Mod Hooli, go into some detail about the plans for skilling content for RuneScape. Essentially what is being said is that skilling content is the backbone of RuneScape because skills are what makes RuneScape unique. The plan is to extend skills from levels 99 to 110, and I'm not talking about a virtual extension. No, I'm talking about an actual extension including content. Now, one of the main arguments for level 110 presented is that it's easier and more time efficient and possibly more fun for its players to release 2 level 110 skills instead of a single 120. Additionally, Mod Jack, at least on the livestream, mentions another argument where if a skill is extended to 120, you're probably just going to rush through all the content like 105, 110 to get to 120, where you possibly get an unlock in addition to the master skill cape.
So you'd be kind of rushing through the first tier to get to the second tier. Now that's fine. I mean, we can create that content for people to level on. That's not a problem. But what if we just took the same dev time and made one tier of smithing up content and one tier of fletching content? Then we've got essentially the same amount of content, but spread across 2 different skills, which is good for variety, it's good for combat balance, it's good for just putting different things in the game, and it means that that content stays relevant for longer rather than just being something you skip over to get to the next bit of content. So it just feels like win-win-win to me.
I completely agree with Mod Jack here. It's much more enjoyable and exciting to have 2 skills extended from levels 100 or 99 to 110 than 1 skill to 120, because the content in a single skill levels 99 to 120 is going to feel a lot more samey than 2 skills going from 99 to 110. That's like more variety. There's just more opportunities to make something fun or new, and at the same time, like mentioned in the news post, it's a far less daunting goal to go for level 110 instead of 120, because that's just so much more experience than level 99. And I'm mainly talking about reward space here, because these updates, at least the mining and smithing one, won't necessarily add new gameplay methods, just more content of the same stuff to complete to keep the scope of these updates more doable. However, at the same time, they do mention this will depend on the skill they're extending to 110. For woodcutting and mining, adding a new tree or rock tier is fairly predictable. Yes, they got that right, but some skills may not necessarily work that way. Also, if this all goes through and players like it, the timeline to get all skills to 110 is quite ambitious. About 2 to 3 years according to Jagex. And 120 possibly might work in the same way, so perhaps 5 or 6 years to 120 all physical leveling. Not just virtual skills, all skills being a physical 120 skill which has content all the way up to 120. Whoo! And yes, combat skills will also be going up to 110, although it's a little different because it requires a little bit more balancing, and that's up to the combat team, according to Mod Jack.
So at the moment, this discussion is with the combat devs, especially Mod Ryan. The original plan for this was that we would take attack to 110, but we didn't want to rush that out. So like it has implications for combat balancing. So we need to leave it with the combat devs to make the right decision, essentially.
It also seems like because they want to pretty much like emphasize the focus on skilling content in RuneScape, they aren't going to be introducing long currency grinding like updates, like for example the Menethos reputation system or the Garden of Carid. That is really good news because those grinds, in my opinion, don't really add that much value to the game or gameplay. Now, mining and smithing is going to be the first set of skills going to 110, followed by fletching and woodcutting. And the reason they're doing mining and smithing first is because of that previous rework. It's a lot simpler to do. That's what it comes down to. This update will add new ores from Novite to Prometheum, being Daemonheim ores, and you're going to be able to combine these to create primal bars at level 100 smithing. You can use these to create primal armor, which will be getting a remaster and will, just like Elrune, be non-augmentable. You can upgrade it to +5, and it will give you tier 90 stats at that point. Much like Elrune, it has higher requirements but provides lower stats. There will also be a new primal pickaxe which you can upgrade to +5 as well, which again isn't augmentable but is going to be a bit better than an Elrune pickaxe. There will also be a new ore box, of course, a primal ore box, but more importantly there's going to be a new best in slot augmentable pickaxe at tier 100. Now what also will be augmentable is a new tier 100 masterwork sword. And this sword will be available at level 110 smithing. Similar to how you create the masterwork armor set, you're going to use energy from existing items in the form of Twin Fury blades, Drygores, and Chaotix to create this weapon. So those items right now are going up in value. That's just... You're not going to be able to buy them for G price. If you're wondering why, that's why. With the exception of Chaotix, of course, as you can just buy those for Dungeon Ring tokens. Now, this is supposed to be a high damage weapon that doesn't compete with existing rare boss drops that might have a passive or something else.
So this is a more accessible high tier weapon, which will allow you to meet those accuracy requirements and do the content at full effectiveness without sort of trying to compete with existing rare valuable drops. That's the intention.
I'm really curious to see what you think about the future of skilling for RuneScape, and so is Jagex. I definitely prefer more frequent skilling updates, and I think this is a good idea, but it's still not set in stone. They could do this for a couple skills and then just stop if the player base doesn't like it. As Jack said, it's not final.
I want to be careful with the word plan, because I always want to be flexible and responsive. So the plan, in the sense that the intention at current would be to gradually bring every skill to 110. If that's a bad plan, if that doesn't work for some reason and we need to change, we should change it. We shouldn't just keep doing it because we said it was a plan. So I just want to make that clear in case it's like, well, this is our plan and we can't change it.
So, that's a sign that you should let your voice be heard. We're being taken into consideration by Jagex and the developers, and that's a good sign. With that being said, we've come to the end of this little news update. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.